Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Go Talk Show with Tracy and Renaé. And before we even get started, please like, subscribe, and if you know somebody that this could resonate with or any of these talks, forward it on to them. And we are also going to be recording our live with audience next Monday. So that's December 15th at 10 a.m. We're going to open up the whatever floor at 9:50 a.m. Eastern time. So get on then. If you come on before, you're not going to be able to get on. But at 9:50, we're going to open it up. Come on, have a conversation with us. Ask any questions, do whatever, be part of this whole thing. We'd love to see you there. Okay, so exciting stuff today. This is all about standing in your truth, like holding your truth with 100% authenticity. It is so important in the energy and the field and the frequency, whatever word you want to use for it, that we are in this world. And what's really interesting is they're saying, okay, so today is Monday, December 8th. What they're saying is when you're standing in your truth, this is going to be very difficult for some people because we're running into the holiday season. You're going to see a lot of people that are you've normally maybe not seen, are like, oh my God, I don't like that person. They don't vibrate with me. They don't, speak my language, whatever it is. You stand in your truth. And it's not, when you're standing in the truth, it's not coming out with anger. It's just, nope, this is the very matter of fact. This is the way it is. Feel what feels right. Stop going into your head, go into your heart. When you're standing in your truth, because we're in the holiday season, you are going to be so much stronger, so much better come January 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. They're saying it's going to depend. Those dates, why they're giving so many dates is because it's going to depend what frequency, what energy field you're in of when it's going to really sort of solidify. But on one of those days, then you are going to just going to be wake up and be like, God, I'm at so much more peace because you're standing in your truth and you're following who and what you truthfully are. And Tracy had written some stuff yesterday on that. And if you want to share that, Tracy, or you just want to join in on whatever you're getting at this point, because I love that. I love when we start talking because it's always all the stuff like comes to both of us. So it's like, what are you getting, girlfriend?
So first of all, I want to expand on that because yesterday when we were in Change Makers, kind of came through the concept of speaking your truth actually is beyond speaking. And we always assume, well, if you are speaking your truth, it actually involves using your words. And I had this kind of epiphany of, can you move beyond that? Because what if no one is listening? What if they can't see or hear what you are seeing and hearing, which we are living in a time that is very, it's happening. Like one person's perspective is so vastly different from another person's perspective in the same situational reality. So that was something really, and then of course I went, well, now what? Like, what do we do? And it was just hold your frequency of absolute truth. And then to expand a little further, I really every day, just by being willing to see and know, my truth gets clearer to me and I'm shocked. And I'm always going to give an example because I'm the one that, well, what do you mean? Give me an example. And I'm usually saying to these guys, give me an example, give me an example. But just sad but true, a lot of my businesses, I don't have any passion in what we're doing or excitement. And I don't think I realized that. Like it kind of just became work. Um, and are our passions and our desires shifting? So we need to be aware, oh, wow, I didn't realize that I wasn't passionate about that anymore. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I was no longer excited doing that, which is fabulous and actually amazing and exciting. But guess what? Everyone around you doesn't get the memo just because you do. So they keep doing the same thing, showing up the same way. So this is all getting so fascinating. I could talk about it forever. But I think, okay, I'll zone back around of letting your truth redefine itself constantly with pure heart and pure intention. being aware and honest enough with yourself to allow it, even though some of the things that present will most likely be uncomfortable because, oh my gosh, I do that. I thought that. I was allowing that. And then, like Renee said, we're going to be around family and there's a lot of activity. And, to be mindful not to slip back into old patterns, programmings, beliefs, and be okay and compassionate and patient with yourself as you might do some crazy things because I'm standing in my truth and I'm going to hold strong. Okay, so that I'll throw that to you. So that was one. Um, where
I
do you
love
want to
that.
go?
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true because you're right. In standing in your truth, you don't have to say words. It's holding that frequency. I love that you brought that point up. And that I think we really need to have you guys listen to and understand. Sorry, they're saying sorry about this. Bringing all this stuff. I'm like, wait, I'm talking. She threw it to me. Couldn't you give it to me before?
But we love to hear what they have to say. What do they say?
Exactly. So they're saying even paying attention to Tracy and I hold a particular frequency when always, okay, but when we're recording, we seem to be holding a different frequency. They're saying there's this frequency that is going out for everyone that is hearing this and beyond. So they're saying pay attention to that frequency, how you feel when you're watching these. If you close your eyes and how you feel as we're saying words, opposed to then silencing it, and how you feel when there's no words. They said some of you may notice a difference because the human mind is hearing the words and trying to extrapolate what it thinks it means. Okay, so they're saying, do that little exercise when you mute us, and you can still be watching as they're saying, or just close your eyes and just feel the energy, the frequency, the vibration, all the things, all the words, feel what you're feeling at that point. They're saying because we hold that frequency, that vibration, that all the stuff, you too can do that. So you're going to a family function, you're going to see friends, you're going out shopping, you're doing whatever. They're saying, what frequency do you want to hold? What energy do you want to hold? Same thing, all the different words. So they're saying before you leave the house or even in the house, they're saying make sure you're holding on to whatever energy, whatever word you have for whatever frequency, whatever field that you want to hold, because that's going to make a difference. And they said start practicing with that, because when you practice with that, you're going to recognize how, number one, strong, centered, balanced, and in peace you feel, and how everybody else around you starts to get that same memo, whatever, because they're getting the same field. If you have an issue with somebody, you don't have to verbalize it. Stand in your energetic field that you are choosing to be in and just send it over. And Tracy, I think you had some sort of crazy story about that.
Yes. So I kind of was, once things start to come about, you're like, oh, I need to start having conversations with people or, letting this be known. But then it got this thing of, kind of like, no, you don't. Why would you do that? Like, it's not getting interpreted how like the words, they lose a translation and interpretation in the delivery of them. So instead, do it energetically. Have an energetic conversation, write an energetic letter. And I kind of did. Like, it was like a letter or a conversation in your head. Like, really, I walked through the whole thing. And it was really, for me, who loves and talks all things crazy, it felt so complete. It felt delivered. So much more clearer than if I actually had had the conversation. So, and of course, I, call Renee and tell her this is so crazy, like I really feel like it's complete. But and then I just have to say this because it's so funny because off camera, Renee and I were, we always pre-talk and we're like, gosh, these words are so slippery, like dimensions and foundation and timelines, and they don't really fully express the entirety of what is happening, but you have to pick a word. And I said, wouldn't it be funny if we just showed up on the podcast and said, okay, and said nothing? And that's basically what they just said to do.
It's true. And you realize that, yes.
Isn't that hysterical? You're like, great idea, guys. We're going to tell them to do that. We're like, you were kind of just joking. But again, what a great analogy of, I believe, again, pick the words. Frequency and intention is so much more potent, powerful in the best of ways, clearer, precise, quicker than us as, people trying to use our words and express. But even, this is big, but even if you say to someone, I know, but I feel, the interpretation gets lost because they're going to interpret in their feeling of. So am I making sense?
Yes. Total sense to me. And I hope to you, which I'm sure it is. Well, and what's nice about when you did that energetic letter, how did the person receiving it energetically, how did they respond?
Well, and that's amazing. Like all of a sudden, it's almost as if you wake up, and not only the person, because it extrapolates out, because, right, it's an energetics of, all of a sudden you're like, am I in the Twilight Zone? Is someone punking me? Like, oh my God, everyone just kind of showed up differently. So yeah, like I'll call Renaé and be like, what's going on? Like, yes, yes. So
Triple yes.
triple yes. Yeah, it's real. It's so quick in the delivery, the interpretation, and the assimilation, and then the outward reflection of the energetics of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh God. This stuff is just getting so crazy cool and amazing. So make sure that you're standing strong in that field you want to be in. Extrapolate it if you got to have an energetic conversation with someone. And what I love about the energetic conversation is if we were trying to put down into words writing, you're like, I'm going to write this person a letter. You start to bring up so much, whatever, animosity, anger. Oh, I'm not being heard. You're bringing up all that emotions going into that letter. That person just touches that letter, to open it up. They're immediately on the defensive because they're feeling all of that stuff, whether they recognize it or not. And again, the human words are just so, like, I can say, potato when somebody could see it as a yam, or, I'm thinking of real, russet potato. You know what I mean? Like everybody is going to perceive things completely different. So the energetic conversation, the energetic letter, I love because the ego is out of it. The human words are out of it. We can, be writing what we're thinking. And because it's energetically, the human mind gets out of it. So, I'm going to use you as an example, Tracy. So Tracy's writing this energetic letter and going through all the things. It's not being written in the human mind words and the human field words. It's energetically without an ego whatsoever. So it's going out in its purest form to that person. And of course, that person's going to be able to do it. And how I always see it is it goes into this field and then it integrates into the physical form where there's no ego, there's no nothing. It integrates beyond all of that into the truth of who this person is. And I'm sure we've all met these people because remember, we're all coming into this experience to experience something with the people we're running into. Okay, so maybe we have, I'll use a crazy word, maybe we have the contract, which they're saying there really is no contracts in this field anymore, but maybe we had a contract, for lack of a better way to say it, with, okay, I'm going to come into your field and I'm going to really piss you off because you know what? You're going to learn to stand in your power. Okay. Then you meet someone and you're thinking, this girl is an asshole. And you're like, I can't stand her, blah, blah. You meet somebody else, they're like, oh my God, she's the most amazing person in the world. I just love her. Da, 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 da. So you see the difference in contrast because we're all here to experience different things. But again, take the egos out of it. And if you were to say, oh, that's right, we made the agreement to have that, whatever, and you would dislike me for whatever reason, but that's okay. Because if you go further in, like when I see people, for some reason, I can just go right into that I don't know, I'll say the soul, the light, whatever, the light. And I can see that. And I can have a completely different experience. And somebody like, oh my God, I don't know how you can talk to that person because we're seeing the light. And that's exactly what the energetic stuff is. When you're holding that energetic field that you want to hold, and the person that you might have had an issue with, family or not, and all of a sudden you see them, it's like you're in a neutral space. You're like, oh my God, it's almost like you feel sorry for them because you're like, oh my God, like I can see why they were doing that. But because my ego was so strong, or my whatever, my that pattern, that program was so strong, this is how I saw them, especially with family. Because has anybody ever done it? You go in and you're like, all of a sudden I've turned into a 2-year-old child again. And I'm like, why am I having these feelings? Well, why am I acting this way? Because you bought into the whole energetic field. You go in there with the energy that you want to stand strong in. And exactly what you said, Tracy. Everybody's going to respond completely different. Like it's so crazy, cool, amazing. And this is, it's going to pay off January 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Like, woohoo! So that's all I got. What do you got?
I just want to, because it is pretty cool. When I was writing the letter in my head, I'm always talking to pick a name at this point, my higher self, the guy, and I was like, well, that's kind of accusatory. And that was like, no, it's information. Like, it's not accusatory. You think it's accusatory, like there's so many words that now trigger everyone. And then I really had to sit with like whatever the same sentence and being like, actually, no, it's a pretty neutral sentence if you really break it down. I can't remember the sentence, and
Yeah.
if I could, I would tell you because I
Right.
like to give examples. And also, my mother-in-law has Alzheimer dementias, and we took her out to dinner last night. And again, I'm like, gosh, can I give me the example? But I can't think of it. We said is such a neutral statement, like kind of like in a very lighthearted, joking lighthearted, joking conversation, and her whole body changed. And I was like, oh my God, she took that as a personal insult. And I thought, how did she take that? It was something like the temperature of the music, and it was like she's like, oh, I'm just a crazy old woman, and we're like, no, it's just a crazy old like sit work, I it was kind of, I could tell it offended her, and I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Like, what a great example of how a totally neutral and even potentially meaningly fun, easy peasy statement can be interpreted as a personal insult. So I'm saying all that because it's getting, pick your word, crazy, frustrating, amazing, expansive, challenging, super cool. And I remember I used to argue with me, myself, them, of those two can't exist in the same sentence, like cold and hot. Says who? Or yeah, cold and hot.
Yeah.
Snow, and I took a picture to my books with it snowing with the fire, and it's like juxtaposition, and it's like, who said? Like, who says who? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my. It's gonna get really interesting, and we could talk on so many subjects, but we'll keep it short for today
Yeah,
because
exactly. Well, and then let me just ask you this, Tracy. When you saw that she was offended, did you even attempt to say anything knowing it would just escalate? Did you try and say, oh, mom, I didn't mean to offend you? Did it like, no, see?
nope,
Because
nope,
it doesn't need to be said. Let it be, because if somebody's doing that, you are never going to convince them from your side. They've already got in their head what's happening. So don't
yep,
just, you just stood in your truth, right? That whole frequency, right?
yep.
Yeah. Makes a huge difference. Makes a difference. All right. So again, next week we're going live, and it will post next week as well when we're all done recording. So I will put the Zoom link in the description, and also I will pin it in the comments. So feel free to jump there and join in next week. We hope to see you. I hope to have some great, awesome conversations. The two we've had already were amazing and awesome. And I get a lot of texts, and I wish people would like comment in the comments. I get a lot of texts like and emails like how awesome they were. So thank you And thank you all for being here and listening because we really so much appreciate you. And we're just bringing this consciousness through you, right? We're all working together to bring it to a whole new level. And it's crazy cool and exciting. But of course, right?
But of course,
Of course.
anything, of course.
Yeah. So follow your truth, stand in your truth, keep that frequency going. And what else do we say besides
Well,
that?
I was kind of jamming out on that. Remember, allow, become, let's go. And I actually included receive. Remember, allow, receive, become, let's go.
Let's go.